Hey everyone, welcome to the Yoga in Black podcast. If you're not new, however, welcome back. I'm Tierney, your host, and this show is all about the experiences of Black yoga and wellness professionals. Each episode, I'm joined with a new guest, and we'll just have a conversation between two peers about our experiences within the yoga and wellness industries, and also highlight where you can find their classes. At the forefront, this show is all about letting you know that Black folks are out here in this wellness industry doing amazing things that you can experience. So with that said, grab your favorite beverage. You know I got mine in the favorite mug. And let's have a chat. This is your friendly reminder that all episodes of this podcast are pre-recorded and some topics or events discussed may be outdated. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, it's Tierney, and I've got my editor hat on, as usual, and I just wanted to provide a moment to apologize because, again, having some sound issues. Now, I know when you point out your mistakes, it makes it a little bit more obvious to folks, right? But I'm all about you having a great listening experience, and sometimes volume control issues can be annoying to folks. So I want to put that out there just so you got the heads up to be aware that it's a little pitchy sometimes. So I do apologize. We're working on these things. We're learning as we go. But again, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to the show, everyone. My name is Tierney, your host. And this week I am joined by Alisha Burrell of Dallas. Alisha, why don't you go ahead and tell your story? Start it off.
All right. My name is Alisha. I am a yoga teacher, a wellness coach, and educational coach. I'm a nonprofit director and the author to the upcoming book, Warrior to Warrior. So all of these roles are about finding the peace within and letting that spread out through whatever capacity that you're in.
I'm sorry, I totally just fangirled for a second when you was telling me all this stuff. Wow.
Yes. So
that is amazing.
Yeah, I've really been intentional starting last July about putting my energy into places where I really want to spend my time and feel like I'm maximizing and working towards God's spirit's potential of like what I need to be doing here and what feels natural to me. So stepping out on faith and figuring things out as I go. So I'm excited and I'm learning a lot.
Oh, that is so exciting. I want to know about every little thing that you just told me about. So from the nonprofit thing to the book, like, tell me more. What's the premise, or what does your nonprofit serve?
So my nonprofit serves communities and schools. We connect, nurture, and grow. So connecting people to their body, mind, spirit. I hate when people say body, mind, but I mean, it's just, Western society, but it's all connected, right? And then nurturing ourselves with the foods that we eat, with the type of exercise that we have, and even the consumption of social media, TV, movies, all of the above, right? And then growing, how to grow our own food. So I show people how to garden and really taking those skills, use a little bit of science because my background is education. So using that to do, I know. I remember you coming on the podcast. I was like, yes, former educators unite. Just getting all the yoga, the garden, like just call me the Yogi Gardener. I'm in this thing and we in it together.
My mom would love you. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I love mom.
She's look, I'm very much a mini her in the aspect of wanting to help people do things. And she's the green thumb in our family. And I'm trying to de-brownify my thumb.
I mean, nothing wrong with the brown thumb. You got to have the dirt.
It's not.
It's the dirt thumb. So, that starts it. That starts it.
Maybe I'll try to, consider myself a developing fertilizer. I don't know.
I have a friend that goes by Compost Queen, like all of that. It's.
I like that.
Okay, so yeah.
But yeah, along those same lines of she started a garden that she's building out to be a community-based thing and allow people space to grow their own produce and all that stuff. So, oh my gosh, I'm so familiar with all those things. And I think that is some of the greatest things that you can do for the community is to show people how to be sustainable on their own.
Because eggs are too high. And vegetables, like all of that, it has gotten out of control. And just the little things you can do, even if you have an apartment. Like I lived in Egypt for a while, in the middle of the desert, and I was able to grow food on my balcony in a desert.
Wow.
So if you're not in a desert area or just wherever you are, patio, like you can do little small things in pots, just be really creative with it, with stuff you already have. But yeah, that's just part of it. Part of it all. Yeah.
And you travel around to help other people, or do you guys have like a specific space?
So I have certain contracts with schools, so I help them out with if they have a space, they may want like a pollinator garden. So just like strictly flowers, things like that. Yeah. Or they want to go full out garden, vegetables. Some people like chicken coops and stuff like that. I am new to learning about that, and that's a whole nother process, but I'm willing to learn more about it because it is exciting and kids love it, adults love it, and it's beneficial for everybody. So, yeah.
Man, hats off to you. That is amazing. Man, thank you for doing this for the community. Thank you.
I got it from I had a professor in college. His quotes, Dr. Claiborne, he would say, your rent on earth is community service, is what you do for other people. And I just thought that was so powerful as a college student. And it stuck with me because, we pay rent to whatever organization, wherever you live, and you got to pay, and it's ridiculous, right? Like, why are we even paying to live on earth? This is free.
I say that all the time.
It's free. It's so ghetto, the whole concept. But when you are helping someone else out without wanting something in return or seeing the return come back immediately, that's your service here. And it feels good. And because everyone's had someone help them out and you may not have been able to help them back. I've had complete strangers like give me money or like, pay for my lunch or whatever it is and never see them again. But the effect that had on me is to give it to someone else. And it's an energy exchange, right? It's all about, everything's about energy. So what you give, what you put out to the world comes back to you in some way, some fashion or another. So really being mindful of that in the service that you do.
Can you remind me of the name of the professor that gave you that amazing quote? Because I wrote it down.
Oh, his name is Dr. Thaddeus Claiborne. I went to Southern University where I met him. And Southern University is in Baton Rouge. And he lived in New Orleans, which is like 45 minutes to an hour drive, depending on traffic. And so he would drive once a week and do these trainings with us.
So Dr. Claiborne just really committed to his service. What he had at Southern University was called Jumpstart. It was through AmeriCorps. And basically that was like an early childhood intervention program where we went to Title I schools or schools that were low socioeconomic and helped out the preschool there, which was not just, the community service there, but also bringing in their parents. We had to do parents meetings once a month, and he showed us how to do it, and we made it fun. And sometimes we had a big celebration at the end of the year where we brought the parents and the kids on to our campus. And that was the first time a lot of them had even been on a college campus, and just to explore something different. And he just made the whole experience was really great. And it's like I said, it was through AmeriCorps. So they even invited like myself and a few others who were in the program to join Peace Corps outside when we get out of college. But, being in my family with a lot of very protective men and things in my life, they're like, you don't need to be going there out of college. You're just a kid, basically. I'm like, I promise I'm an adult. but yeah, so life changes. Yeah. But you know what? I kind of going backstory. So growing up, I was raised in the suburbs, and it wasn't a lot of us where I went to school. Unless I was at church, that's the only time I saw people that looked like me, really, outside of school and play dates. You have a similar experience. You get it. So when I went,
I grew up in Iowa. Yeah.
I
That whole
remember you
thing is a
said it, like,
suburb.
who is in Iowa? I remember that. That was the podcast I listened to. Yeah. So you definitely understand. When I went to college, I was at HBCU, which, predominantly Black people. So I had a culture shock when I went there. And I was like, what did I get myself into? Whatever. Like, this is cool. I thought it was going to be like different world, like real cute or whatever. But I was like, oh, it's like everybody in here. And what I came to realize was that there were so many programs for college students and young adults. And they did that purposely because that age group is so dynamic in creating the change needed in a culture and a community. And they have the energy for it, and they don't have to worry about their kids or their full-time job or whatever other, stipulations that, older adults have today. So one of the programs that I was a part of was called Freedom School. And it was an awesome Black liberation program. And I did that for a couple of years. Went, that was in Louisiana, went to Atlanta, went to California, did a summer out there. Like, we just were about that Black liberation, like coming out of college, during college. And it was just beautiful to see how it could be done. And then going back to my college, this is where my zoom. So this is, college, going from the Jumpstart program, and how I'm like, oh, I want to go out the country. So I'm leaving, college, and then, get married, do the whole relationship thing, trying to do white picket fence, all that kind of stuff. The lifestyle that they say that you're supposed to have when you get out of college. Yeah. So that was trash. Let me not say trash. It didn't end up the way that was planned. There were some errors on both ends, and, just young and trying to understand life and yourself is just very different. So what I did after that relationship, after going through that breakup, which is very difficult and challenging, I was like, you know what, let me just get a different environment and go back to my original idea that I wanted to do when I got out of college, which was go out the country. So I went, applied at some jobs, education, international teaching is out there. And I was like, it'd be real cool to go to Africa. I've always wanted to go there. So I go and get a letter back from Egypt. And I was like, okay, I didn't think about teaching in Egypt, but I mean, shoot, they talking about it, so I'm with it. And so I packed my bags and go. And my friend stays with me before I leave. And she's like, have you ever heard of Kemetic Yoga? And I was like, girl, what's that? What are you talking about? And she was like, you're going to Egypt, so Kemetic Yoga. And I was like, okay. So I'm looking up all this stuff, reading books and all that, because I'm a big nerd. I'm like, somebody telling me something, I'm like, I'm looking it up, researching. And I see how it's related to African lineage, Black liberation, all the types of breathing, self-regulation, all the good stuff, right? And I had been going to yoga classes before, but it was not the connection that I had with Kemetic Yoga. Like, it was great for like learning how to breathe and moving, like not knocking any other type of yoga. But for me, Kemetic Yoga really connected to like the whole Black liberation and experience. And so I got my training while I was in Egypt by Yasira Hotep with Kemetic Yoga skills. That is my master teacher, and a wonderful group that I met out there while I was teaching and all of that kind of stuff. But going through that whole program just really, really changed my dynamic. So I bring Kemetic Yoga to Dallas, and here I am today. Have my own studio where I do yoga classes, and I teach it with my nonprofit, seniors, children, all the above. So we're going to get this breathing, get this yoga, get the whole peace within.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I am loving your story. That is so amazing.
Yeah.
Like, to learn Kemetic Yoga in Kemet.
That part. Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah. Like seeing the postures on the walls of the pyramids, like going through the temples, laying in the same tomb, which you're not supposed to do. Like, you have to like pay the people, the guards off, because they're like, no one can do that. But I got to like lay in the tomb, and he did my master teacher did like a meditation while I was laying in there, and just, you can feel the vibration and like the ancestors, like all of that just coming alive within you, because like our bones, like this is not just Alisha, you know what I mean? Like I'm holding people from years back in these bones, like, you know what I mean? Like we carry so much, and until you start getting in tune with that, how can you reach your maximum power? How can you step out and do the things you need to do? So bringing that to my people, which I love your podcast, the Yoga in Black, because I was like, where are my people at, to really like get that connection is so important, because like it changed my life. It did, for every good thing.
Yeah. That is so amazing.
Yeah.
So freaking amazing. How long were you in Egypt?
A couple of years, and the pandemic brought me back a little bit earlier than expected. But yeah.
So it was recent.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. I got back here like 2020. Yeah. In Dallas. So
yeah.
It was good. I was teaching yoga in yes. Have you tried Kemetic Yoga?
I haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
I keep seeing it around. I've read up on it, and I've kind of toyed with some postures on my own, but I haven't taken any type of actual instruction in it.
Yeah.
So now that I know that you have a studio offering this, I am definitely heading over there.
I would love to have you there. Yeah, Speak and Flow. Speak and Flow. Yes, that is 17740 Preston Road in Dallas, Texas. And I co-own the space with my sister. She does speech therapy. You know what I'm saying? Because rent is high. So you got to come in together. I'm all about community and collaboration for the better good. And she does the speech therapy side. I do the yoga side. And together we have a program for spring break and summer camps for kids with autism or that deal with executive functioning, that kind of thing. So she does the speech, and I'll teach them some mindfulness and yoga and help them out with some social skills and all of that good stuff. So definitely getting different areas. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I wish I'd had access to something like that when I was younger. But now I'm recently realizing that I was not diagnosed when I should have been.
Yeah, things were different back then.
The fact that I found my way into yoga on my own, with some guidance, of course, but it's helped me regulate so much. So the fact that you're introducing this to children, when it's, important for them to learn these things, so that way, as they become an adult, they're not having to deal with all the added pressures of the world, plus all this other stuff on top of it. So again, thank you for what you're doing for the community. Like, you are really out here changing and affecting lives in so many positive ways.
Yeah, and I don't do it by myself. Like I have a team of teachers at Speak and Flow. So we do weekly wellness classes. So every week you can find a different instructor who's doing great work. We have a couple Kemetic Yoga teachers. People have different offerings, a dance, fitness teacher. So different things to just get your mind, body, spirit. That's all this is about, right? With wellness. When I was in Egypt, I taught 4 times a week. I don't recommend it personally, but I mean, everybody's different. I met a lady in my training, because I told you I had my training this weekend for my 300 hours, and she was mentioning how she teaches 9 classes a week and has a whole nother job. I was like, oh, so this is not it.
Now, see, I thought that was her job, because I've been in that position. Until next month, this is my job. So I've taught double-digit classes a week, and it is not ideal for anybody, even if you're full-time. But good grief.
Yeah, on top of
a full-time job, 9 classes.
So we're doing like 2 I was trying to do the math. I was like, so like 2 evening, weekday, and like maybe 2 on the weekend. Like it's just a lot going on, spread out. Because I was teaching the students at the school. I taught the staff afterwards. Then I taught at a studio, which everyone were second English learners. So they knew better English than I knew Arabic, but learning all of that was really interesting. And that was my first class was that I was teaching overseas. So now I choose to do not as many classes and try to balance that out with, everything else I have, but also giving other teachers an opportunity. So definitely looking for other teachers to teach at the studio, give spotlight, because everyone's not going to learn through me. Everybody's not going to learn through another teacher, or whatever. And that's fine, because everybody, not for everybody. And at the end of the day, we're all here on one common goal, which is to get well, spread love, spread peace, and all of that. So definitely, if anyone's interested, hit me up and let me know.
Oh, and if you ever post about it or want me to post about it, let me know. I will definitely do so, because that's also part of this platform, is to showcase job opportunities too, because folks be sleeping on the untapped resource of Black yoga instructors that are right here, not only in Dallas, but everywhere.
Yes. And maybe I should ask you, like, how many teachers or studios do you know in North Dallas?
Oh, goodness. With personal connection, I don't even know the number, because I will admit I am terrible about studio hopping and like actually visiting places, but I will just know of them. But I've taught at a decent number of spots, but what I've found is that a lot of the places that I've ended up teaching were likely tied to fitness as well. So the number of strictly yoga studios that I've taught at has been, but yeah, the number of yoga only studios that I've taught at over the last 7 years that I've been here is maybe it might be a little even, but probably the scale is a little bit more tipped to the fitness centers / gyms.
Yeah.
But even still, like, those are good jobs to get too, because it's getting people into, the experience of yoga. Oftentimes, if you're at a good spot, you can find a place that'll give you the freedom and flexibility to teach how you wish. But a lot of folks I've noticed are kind of going towards that, this is our format that we are teaching here kind of a thing. And I'm like, can we just flow? Can we just practice? Can we just, whatever it is that comes up for the day, can we just do that? Because I do enjoy, sometimes having that variety, but sometimes it is nice to just have a class that's like, all right, what are we doing? Freestyling based on the energy of the day.
Yes. Because it comes to like corporate, right? Cookie cutter.
Yeah. But anywho, we're getting there. But to answer your question, if I had to give you a number, I'd have to think about it and get back to you, because
I really am trying to connect with other people. And what I found since I've been back, because before I left, it was I wasn't really tapped into like the holistic side. I was going to the classes at 24-hour fitness or whatever other gym type membership. So now that I'm on this other side, I'm like, okay, I see them in DeSoto and Cedar Hill and Duncanville and all that, which is great. I just don't live there, and I know a bunch of other people who like live up this way. So definitely bringing people to a space, or letting them know that there is a space for them here, where there's not a lot that look like us at these studio spaces. So yes, definitely looking at that. And what I like best about my studio for Speak and Flow is that it's an intimate space. So it's definitely like made for conversation, building, community, great communication. Like, we're not about just like have a great yoga class and like bounce. Like, we're going to invite people to talk. If you want to talk, we're going to collaborate. Oh, you do this. Okay. Well, they do this. So let's make this work. You know what I mean? It's all about connections, right? It's not just a class, because you can do that on YouTube by yourself. So if we're here to make the effort to be together, like, let's make it meaningful.
Oh yeah, I love those types of studios where it feels like, was it like you're on an episode of Cheers? Everybody knows your name.
Yes, come on, Cheers. Yes.
I know, I'm showing my age. It's all right.
Look, we're here, so you're good. Yes, but it is true though.
So go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I agree with you. You do want to go somewhere where you feel like everybody knows your name and it's comfortable. But still growing
definitely.
in discomfort, you know, don't get too comfortable. There's growth.
And I think that is part of the building the comfort is being able, you know, comfortable enough to be uncomfortable.
There it is.
Because, yeah, it's weird to say it that way, but
that's what it is.
That's just how it goes. Because I think we talked about this before we started recording, but I've always felt like finding not only studio spaces, but studio teacher or yoga teachers very similar to trying to find a therapist, because this is a space where I am processing some shit. And I don't necessarily want to try to process some shit with somebody I don't necessarily feel comfortable with.
Right.
Because yes, I am going to feel uncomfortable with all of these things surfacing or just trying to unload anything that I have going on. I'll clam up if I don't feel comfortable. And that's just not serving the purpose that I want the practice to serve. So I definitely want to go somewhere that I feel comfortable so that I can just feel all right, kicking my shoes off, crying on my mat, curling up in a little ball. If I need to.
Just cover the whole head, just turtle style. Yes. Those are the best. Those are the best.
Man, child's posed the entire practice because it was a hard day.
Yes.
It's important. It's really, really important. So since we're on the topic of your studio space, I'd love to know the story behind how it got started.
Sure. So my sister was looking for a place for her speech therapy, and I was also looking for a space for yoga studio. So we were separately looking for places for our own businesses. And then we're like, man, this costs a lot. You know, like how much they charging over at your place? Oh, man, for what? Over here, da-da-da-da-da. Like, what if we put it together, you know, and found something that could serve both of ours? So we have like one rent and split that. It's like, bet. So let's look for something that has some office space and a yoga space. And we were able to find one, like, you know, just aligned with the timing that we're looking for and the space. And our whole point of creating this space is to have something for not only, you know, speech therapy, but also the wellness side. So we, you know, speak and flow. So you're flowing into your space, whatever you're being, adults, children, and just taking care of your needs. So it is an intimate studio space, and we have the different rooms available and also a kitchen. So people have rented out for different events, which we love to have. So definitely bringing back that whole community aspect and coming together as one. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I will definitely, we'll be in touch.
Yes.
We'll be in touch for that aspect of it, because I am scouting spaces right now to start bringing some programming back into this platform. So, yes, I've jotted down your address and all that, and I will definitely be coming to visit.
Yay, please do. Yeah, we actually, I know this is being recorded later, but we actually have a kind of intro of the teachers that are going to be offering their classes next month, next Saturday. So if you want to slide in, you're more than welcome to join us.
Next Saturday. What is that date?
The 28th, I believe, the Saturday.
Okay.
Yes, the 28th.
Good. I need to write it down so that I remember.
We could talk later after this, but yeah, you're more than welcome.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So you mentioned that you're in your 300-hour training. Can you tell me what the process was for finding the program that you're in?
I have this weird thing. People ask me all the time, like, how did you get into Kemetic Yoga? How did you find this studio place? How did you, you know, find out this yoga training? I don't know the answers to these questions. I really don't know. They literally just happen. And people always say, like, when you're like on your purpose, things will, you know, attract to you. And I used to be like, y'all are crazy. But I'm like, this stuff really be happening. Like, it really happens. I was at one event because I'm part of the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce. I went to one of their breakfast functions and met a lady. They're like, y'all should meet. She does yoga too. I'm like, all right, cool. So we started talking. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to find 300, da, 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 da. She was like, they have a discount code for this place. I was like, okay. discount. Let me look this up. And boom, there it is. And that's how I arrived. Yeah. Like, thank you for that discount code. Appreciate that. Because these things ain't cheap. You know that. And you just finished your 300, right?
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How was it?
It was, oh goodness.
Because I'm just starting, so give me some insight.
And it was all virtual, so that was my first time doing a virtual training of that magnitude. Because I've done a 100-hour rocket yoga training, but that was way back at the beginning of, or at least the middle meat of the quarantine period. So middle meat. Things felt very, but things were kind of put together quickly, and no one really understood, this, virtual space and trying to educate from it. And now that, folks have had a little bit more time under their belts with, really cultivating these educational spaces online, it felt really organized and put together. There was so much flexibility as far as the content that was given for us to be able to consume it. We had our live calls once a week with the lead instructor, but we also had office hours calls with her other staff and other guest teachers. We had once a week cohort calls where the large group was broken down into smaller sections where we kind of just have like roundtables about whatever the topic was for the week. So it was really immersive in a way that helped me out as a neurodivergent person, because attention span is, for me, it's just not there, and just trying to put me in a space where I am responsible for my own learning is difficult. So having the videos, having the live calls, having these different modalities for us to practice together and all these things, it was really helpful. And I took the training with Susanna Barkataki, and her staff is so diverse. Like that's the first time that I've ever been a yoga space where I wasn't the minority. And it was very even when it came to the diversity, especially her teaching staff. Like there was so much melanin in that teaching staff that I had never experienced in my life. I'm like, can we be in training forever?
Yeah, that's different.
Yes, but that was a real big, thing for her is to, she's decolonizing yoga in the United States, because she's also a South Asian woman that has faced a lot of the same things that we've faced as Black women when it comes to being in the yoga space, and knowing that this is something that is, a part of her culture too. And to see what has happened to it in the States, she's like, nah, bruh. Yeah. It's basically like, we're fighting this now.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about other people's cultures, because every culture seems to somehow connect with yoga. So some people are like, oh, this is the right way, or that's the right way. It's like, no, you go with what fits you. Okay. Because we're not about to have this argument about who did it first. Like that goes with like religion, about like who did this first and all that kind of stuff. Like, let's not do that. You find your religion, what you think is best. You do that, because at the end of the day, everybody's talking about the same thing. Everybody's talking about the same thing. Uniting in love.
Liberation.
Yes.
Freedom.
All the above. Love. Yes. So all it's like, why do we even spend time wasting it on who said it, who did it first? You find what connects to you. Similar to your experience of just like that relaxing. That's how my Kemetic Yoga practice was with Yasir, with yoga skills. It was all black. The instructor, a Black male, like having a man teacher, Black, white, whatever, is like different in yoga.
Right in the front of the room.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? So it was just a really powerful experience. And then obviously you're in Egypt. So like that whole, part, the history brought to life is just amazing. But yeah, I definitely appreciate when we can find each other in these spaces and really connect that way, because yoga training is great and really cause you to look inside and all of that. But it does make a difference when you see people that look like you on the surface level.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So much. Like it was even to like she got so into making sure that everyone felt comfortable being in the space that she offered a cohort where it was just people of color with a mentor of color too. And that was the one I chose because I'm like, I'm literally in a place where
You from
I'm
Iowa?
so sick.
You from Iowa, girl?
Thank you. I'm so sick.
You gotta say that. You ain't gotta explain yourself,
it doesn't help that. Right. I had enrolled in the program right at the time that I was starting to decide if I was going to exit a space that I was teaching at that was toxic as hell. And a lot of the issues that I was having was because someone had racial biases. Wow. And I'm like, no, I'm really not trying to be in another training where I'm, again, the only or the other. I want to be in a training where I am actually in a community of people that can actually relate to me. And when I saw that she offered that as an option, I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
There was so much healing that happened in that cohort for all of us because we all have had those experiences, being harmed in yoga spaces. And it's sad to see that happen to other people because I know how it made me feel and I never want anybody to feel like that.
Exactly.
So I'm grateful to be in
and if you have
anything that allows for us to recover.
Yes, it's a healing process. And like we're talking about in the yoga space, just think about corporate spaces and school, your childhood, and this all of the things that we have been the only for and how much healing that has to take place because of that. I mean, we're all healing as a continuation process, but really diving deep into those racial biases is like a whole nother layer you really have to get into and be intentional about. Kid said something. I'm like, oh, that was good. I forgot what it was now. I feel like I have that little space, but just the whole getting people together. Your teacher, I forgot her name that you mentioned. I wonder what kind of training she had to go through because you don't hear too many other people doing these types of things. So I really like hearing stories like that because it takes not just us doing it, but obviously other people have to do it and understand why they're doing it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it stems from the fact that yoga is something that she literally has grown up with as, a child to now. And, it's part of her family. It's part of, the culture that I think her father is from India. Yeah. And he taught her everything and to come to the States and see how almost her experiences were invalidated because she didn't practice yoga the way that a lot of people do in the States,
Western,
which is now, a workout. So,
they're like, am I going to lose weight after this class? I'm like, if you're trying to lose weight or whatever your fitness goals, you might need to go to a fitness gym. Like this is straight inner work where we're talking, we're communicating, like it's the mind, body, spirit. Like it's all that. So your intention is that you might need to go somewhere else.
We are twin braining here because I've done the same thing because I've had someone say, or multiple people say that. And I'm like, that is a beautiful, beautiful goal to have. But I'm going to forewarn you now that if that is the expectation that you have entering this space, I don't want you to leave feeling disappointed when it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because that's not exactly what happens here. What happens here is that your mindset may change, which will then shift other things in your lifestyle. And then, it's just kind of like a snowball
transformational process. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the asana that's making you feel more fit or, lose weight or whatever. If anything, it's the fact that you are connecting with yourself in a way that you start to love yourself. You start to understand the things that you do. You start to change up things that aren't bringing you peace anymore. You really start to grow and develop into you. And then that allows you that opportunity to, take out that stuff that's, bringing out the the ick.
Exactly. Which I feel like, and just what you just said, that should come first, right? Like if that's your goal, then yeah, this is the class for you. But like, if you're really trying to lose weight like this, you need to go somewhere else on top of this. Like, I'm not fitness shaming anybody out there because I take a boxing class, like I like to, do a balancing out type of thing. And I reluctantly get weights time to time too, because I know that's important for strengthening your body. I'm not excited about that. Like I can talk about yoga, but I know it's important. And so the same way I know that's important and people might feel reluctant for trying yoga. Like if you know the importance of it, you're going to go ahead and do it and find the teacher that works out for you, find the practice that works for you, really understanding how it applies to you. Everybody's talking about shadow work and inner child healing and all that kind of stuff, buzzwords. It's like until you really get on the mat and go through the motions of it, that's when you see change.
Big time. Big time. Yeah. I used to be one of those where I would only just do asana as my physical movement. And, that would be it. And I was like, I don't need to do the fitness thing. I'll be fine. Not necessarily looking for any goals or anything, but I don't know. I fell out of love with fitness. And then I started working out again this year. And I'm like, okay, there's benefits to it, Tierney. Go, just stick with it.
I know, I have to hype myself up. Like,
yes. Because I did used to do a lot of challenging yoga to kind of appease that side of me that wasn't necessarily dormant, but I just, didn't like the idea of going to the gym, lifting weights, doing this, doing that. I was like, whatever. Yoga's, sufficing because I'm like, if I can hold myself upside down, I think I'm strong enough.
I understand. I get the logic. Yeah.
So like until the day that I can't hold myself upside down anymore, then maybe I need to get back into the gym. Yeah. But now I'm like, you know what? There are definite benefits to it, and I'm grateful to keep them separate now and understanding more that the yoga practice that I have cultivated for myself is trying to embody something more than just a physical thing. Because I drank some of that Kool-Aid at first too. Like, even though when I first started the practice, it was because I was deeply depressed, deeply anxious, and needed relief from it. And it definitely provided that. But it was also feeding some other thing physically that I was like, I'm not getting this anywhere else. And this is really invigorating. So I went hard for it. And then after a while, after several different ego-based injuries, I'm like, you need to stop. This is not what practice is about. Yeah. Because that's exactly why I sprained my ass today. Is because I'm like, let me see if I can still do this thing from back in the day.
And literally your ass. You can't. Literally, yeah.
Sprained my ass. Sit your ass down trying to do compass pose. Who are you? You don't move like that anymore. Sit down. That's not your posture today, baby.
Oh, not today. You got to check in with yourself. And that's the thing that yoga teaches you, how to check in with yourself and check yourself. Like you checking in, but you checking yourself too. And it's all a balancing act. You had mentioned you're depressed, having anxiety. Like I went through the same things, like just really feeling bad about the breakup and like job racism type of things I was dealing with, like all kind of stuff where I just like, I'm gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave and figure stuff out on my own. Just tap into yoga and really learn. And going through the teaching process, the yoga teaching process, really helped me to like see how I can self-regulate, how I can show up for myself on the mat is the same way I can show up for myself outside when I'm off of the mat. Those things that I'm learning, how to be still, be super active. How to laugh at myself if I sprain my ass or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, just, it's okay to make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like all those things are just part of the process, and it's freeing. And like, I know I sound like a yogi, just like, oh God, this is my training today. I'm just like, I'm up here, but it really has been helpful. So if anybody's going through anything, anxiety, stress, you just got a relationship, all of that kind of stuff, like this is something you can tap into. And it's going to be weird. My first day, this weekend's practice, the teacher had us like do some type of shakeout and, say all like, the kind of get all loose, get the blood circulating and everything. And I was in my head, I was like, what the hell are we doing? You know what I mean? I was like, what am I doing here? You know, like, why am I here? What is this going on? Like, this is so weird. But then, like, after I got over that first hurdle, you know, because that's something that we're engraved to like respond to. When you see something like that, that's outside of what we're used to, your response is to be like, this is weird. You know, even if it doesn't feel weird, it's because that's how we've been trained and, you know, so, you know, society standards and all that kind of stuff. And then once you let go of that first layer, and it's like, okay, this actually does feel good. You know, like this, my body is kind of reacting pretty well to that. And then you stop thinking about that and you're just in the moment. You're in that present moment. And you just allow yourself to be. And it's like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be in control of every little thing that happens outside of here. And what I decide to do or how someone responds to me, it's about my response, how I react with everything. And just really going back to what we said earlier, checking in with yourself and then checking yourself, you know, all that comes with it. So over time, it definitely takes time, but it's an unlearning and a learning process, unlearning and learning.
That is an amazing takeaway from that experience, because I've had that same one where I'm just like extremely in my head when someone tells me to do something like that. And I'm, especially if there's other people around, because when I'm by myself, I act like that naturally.
Right,
but for
right.
whatever reason, as soon as I get around other people, they're like, just shake it off. Get silly. I'm like, you are silly. Just be silly. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you're in your head. You're not in the moment. You're in your head now. Like, shake it out then. Like, check yourself a little bit in that moment. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, but I think a lot of people have that experience even in yoga classes too, like, especially first starting. Yeah, like, postures feel a little silly if you're not accustomed to them. Yeah. Be silly. That's okay. Yeah. No one else is worried about what you're doing.
Not at all. And even like experience, like, you know, because we both are pretty experienced, you know, yogis and whatnot. But like, you just feel awkward sometimes. Like, whether you're beginner or advanced level, however way you want to identify yourself, it's just some days you're just not into it, you know, and just like, what is this? Like, why did I sign up for this? That what I sure. And you get over that and just be in the moment, be present, being present.
Yes. So since we started a new year, and of course it's that time where everyone talks about the things that they want to do for the year, setting their goals, all of this stuff. What happened to be yours for your studio space, for yourself? What do you see going forward? Not even just within the year, but just in general.
That is a great question. So it's interesting, people who are listening to this later, because this weekend is the first new moon of the year, and that is the perfect time for setting intentions. So I definitely had some time to do it and think about my life and all the things that I have going on. One thing for my studio is to invite more teachers there, because it opens up opportunity for different people to connect better and just to see what else is out there. Having different opportunities, a space that we can come together. And my other goal would be to allow, I know this sounds cheesy, but to allow the flow, like, because sometimes I don't have the plans already. Like, I have ideas of what I want and what I can see, or, you know, what I want to do for this summer, or, you know, the spring break and blah, blah, blah. But then someone comes in and will come off, you know, off surprise. And it's like, wow, that was really great. How about you bring that here? And it's amazing. So just really being open to receiving the gifts of the universe, the gifts that people bring, my earth angels here who just come about and think of great ways that we can connect and still build towards that oneness and getting wellness for everyone. So, yeah.
Love that. Love that. In regard to your nonprofit, what kind of things are you guys growing into?
We have a youth entrepreneurship program. So that's with the high school students, where they're not only learning how to grow, but also set up a business with the things that they're growing. So that is a whole thing. And it's really exciting because teens are little adults, want to be adults and still children. So it's very interesting to have that. Also, I have social emotional learning in the elementary schools. So seeing the littles deal with all of that and just self-regulating. I posted online from my Roots to Wellness how the student was like, can I just stay in here? Like, can we just stay and do yoga? I don't want to go back to class. Like, like I love it. Like, yeah, because it feels good to just connect and just be, right? Like there's no test, there's no pop quiz or anything like that. It's just, you're just being and really being respectful of that. And so they can learn and continue that off of the mat and when they go to their classes. So, I do the yoga with seniors, and we're also planning to have a yoga fest. They already do a soul yoga fest in Chicago with Kemetic Yoga skills. So we're planning on bringing that to Dallas. So tentatively in the summer, but you know how things with the schedules and the city of Dallas and all of that. So we don't have a confirmed date yet, but definitely in the works for the nonprofit.
Look, don't even get me started on that. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. But, just really
that
getting
is exciting.
the Dallas community together, like the holistic, because there's just so many people like, I wouldn't have known you. I think someone sent me your post and they're like, she's looking for yoga teachers. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, great. So it's just like that, like everything's like word of mouth. And if we can like just come together and put our mouths together, but that doesn't sound right. Put our brains put our minds together and really make it work. If you want to put your mouth on somebody, fine, but make sure you have consent with an adult, consenting adult. Okay.
And brush your teeth.
Yeah, brush your teeth, all the hygiene things. Okay. But coming together as a whole and really making an impact in Dallas. The healing is already starting with different organizations and people coming together with their events. So just continuing to build.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness, got my skin tingling. I'm so excited. I am here for it because I want to do all of those same things. So we're gonna all have to collaborate together and just make this giant big ass thing and just blow everybody's socks off. Because I'm sick of having those our little pockets of yoga here, yoga there, and for whatever reason, the people are like, oh gosh, Black people doing yoga. Like, oh, just wait.
It don't matter what we're doing. Girl, we could be bird watching, okay? It's an issue. So, it's
true.
I mean, not to make a joke out of it, because clearly that was a huge issue and all of that. But, it's just, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, it's like, we can't worry about what anybody else is doing or how they think about it, because it doesn't matter. We're going to do what we need to do. And that means liberation for all.
Oh,
Period.
Yeah.
No,
oh, yeah. Right, though. Right, though.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So, Alisha, it's a Yoga in Black tradition for me to ask you for any advice that you would give. So first, what advice would you give to those that are looking to start a yoga practice? And what advice would you give to those that have been practicing and now want to move into teaching? 2 parts.
Okay. For the ones who want to start yoga, mind your mat. Just be present on the mat you're on. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Just be present. It doesn't matter. You're only going against yourself. You're only working for your own growth in yourself. As far as those who are practicing and wanting to become teachers, the biggest thing would be, or the best advice would be to just be open to the experience, because every experience is different. Every yoga teacher training is different. And you may feel silly. You may feel out of place. You may feel overwhelmed with all the information that you're learning. But at the end of the day, you're going to be so much more fulfilled. You're going to understand so much more. I always like to put my focus on where it's taking me, right? What's the intention behind my teaching? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And when you have your intention set, keep that in mind and just be purposeful with that whole process, whatever it looks like.
Oh, that is great advice. That mind your mat piece is so important because it don't matter what anybody else is doing on their mat. This is you and your practice right now. That's their thing. Whatever they're doing, don't worry about that. Yeah. Drink your water, mind your business.
And like the whole right or wrong thing, like, am I doing this right? Is this wrong? Am I right? You know, because I hear them in class and they're like always asking me, like, is this right? Am I doing it right? And it's just like, and I know this sounds like really silly coming from a education background, but there really is no right or wrong, right? Like there's just, they're just a thing, you know, there's not a good, bad, right, wrong. It's just an experience. So if I'm saying put your right arm up to the sky, you know, there's no right or wrong way of doing that. You're reaching, you're still stretching, you're still feeling the stretching, your shoulder blades and your upper arms. Like that is the purpose, to keep that blood flowing and show that connection and being in tune with the body. So whatever that looks like for you, that's what it's supposed to look like. So that's I see about it.
Yes. I always lead with that. It's like, well, how do you feel in the posture? Don't worry about what it looks like. What does it feel like? If it feels like pain, then we'll adjust something.
Right. Yeah.
If it's just awakening your awareness to that space of the body, stay there. You're doing good. You're doing great. You're doing it right.
Yeah. Like, yeah, if you need to hear right. Yeah, that's that. There it is. Yeah.
Yes, it's to feel sensation, to bring awareness into your body. And so thank you for that. That was great advice.
Yes.
Great advice. All right, Alisha, tell the people where we can find all of your fabulousness, from the nonprofit information to your studio, to your Instagram, Facebook, website, YouTube. I don't know, all of the things. Tell me everything.
Google me, baby. No, you can. But if you Google Speak and Flow, you can find the address and go there. But also on Instagram, it's Speak and Flow. Also, but that's for the studio. For my nonprofit, it's Roots to Wellness Now. And that's also a website, rootstowellnessnow.com. So you can see what's going on. Subscribe to our newsletter so you can find out about events. And whenever we get that Yoga Fest together, you'll be the first one to know when you subscribe to the list and all the other great things going on. And my personal account, which I always post yoga videos, Kemetic teachings, and all that great stuff. That is Alisha, Alisha, not like Alicia Keys, B.well. And that's about me. That's where you can find me.
All this fabulousness. And we didn't even talk about the book that you mentioned. Tell me a little bit about that before you go.
Yeah. So the upcoming book is called Worrier to Warrior. And it's basically 7 ways to transform wellness using Kemetic Yoga. So it's everything I talked about with Kemetic Yoga or briefed upon during our conversation, but also what's online, what I have available, but really giving step-by-step ways that you can really get in tune and use those ancient teachings to help you with your wellness. Yeah.
What's the expected release date?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to come back to you on because those are powers that be that have that. But if you subscribe to the Roots to Wellness Now, all that information will be there as soon as I know.
Fantastic. Alisha, you are fabulous and amazing.
So are you. Thank you.
I can't say it enough. Thank you. But no, thank you for everything that you are doing for the community, because you are really out here affecting some major changes in a lot of people's lives, and just keep going. Keep going. You've got my support. I'm going to throw even more people out there to support you too, because we need more like you out here. So thank you. I
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. And thank you for having me on your platform. I really love what you do. When I saw the flyer, that was sent to me, I was like, someone's bringing Black yoga teach together in the Dallas area. I'm like, this is great. So thank you for organizing and putting all this together. I know that takes a lot of time with the editing and emails and all of that good stuff. So thank you for the work you're doing as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yes. Keep going.
All right, folks. Thank you. Folks, it has been another amazing, amazing time. Thank you so much for listening into this episode. I will see you next week with another lovely, lovely guest. Bye.
Bye.
Hey there, Tierney again. I know you just finished the podcast episode and you're probably wanting to just go about your business or listen to the next one, but I have some exciting news. We're monetizing the podcast now. I know. This is so cool. This is so cool. But anyway, with that said, we are now able to take donations directly from the podcast. So if you're listening on Spotify, head to the show notes, and there is a link there that you can click to provide your support. If you are not listening on Spotify, we still got you covered. You can either go to the website or go to our link tree by way of our Instagram bio link. Your money would go towards supporting this platform in all of its ways, keeping the podcast alive, giving us the ability to offer programming in the future. And those programs will look like classes, workshops, and so much more. There's a lot planned for this platform and can't do it without your help. So if you do have it within you to help us out, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I appreciate everything that you all do for this community here. Be blessed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Yoga in Black podcast. Next episode is the season finale, and I'll chat with the creators of Black Yogis of South Florida, Jasmine Maston and Kiana Maya. You can listen on Spotify and iHeartRadio or watch on YouTube. If you want to connect with us, head to our website, www.yogainblack.net, Instagram at yoga.inblack, and also Facebook as just Yoga in Black. We'll see you next week.